So I'm here at BGG.CON 2014 talking to Anne-Marie and Justin from Fireside Games.
Hey everybody.
And they're going to talk about Munchkin Panic.
Munchkin Panic is our newest release in the Panic line. We started off with Castle Panic, and it's kind of our gateway game. It gets people introduced to gaming who may not be gamers yet, and it's really the backbone of the whole Panic series. It's a really nice tower defense cooperative game. It has one expansion, the Wizard's Tower, and a new one, the Dark Titan, that's coming out in the spring. And then we have two other titles in the line, Dead Panic, which is a zombie version, and Munchkin Panic. And those two titles kind of upend some of the expectations that Castle Panic set forth. So Castle Panic is a nice, friendly, cooperative game. Munchkin Panic adds treasure and backstabbing.
As Munchkin does.
As Munchkin does, exactly. It wouldn't be a Munchkin game without it.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. So how many players is it for?
1 to 6. So you can play solo and then up to 6 players.
Okay. How long does the game take to play?
It can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how your game group pays attention to your turns. So.
And it blends cooperative gameplay with competitive gameplay.
Exactly.
So how does it do that?
Yeah. So in the base game, you have to work together enough to have at least one tower standing after you've slain all of the monsters. But you want to be the person with the highest number of points in monsters at the end of the game. So as you slay the monsters, you get to keep the monster as a trophy, as well as taking the treasure that it's carrying. And so whoever has the highest point value at the end of the game, as long as you have one tower standing, is the master munchkin.
Okay. And so how does a turn or a round usually play out?
So the order of play is actually even on the board, and we have some cards that help with that play. And your first step is to discard one card. You start off with a hand of cards, and depending on the number of players, you'll have a different number of cards. So if you have a 4-player game, you're going to have 5 cards. So you'll look at those and determine, is there a card that's not as useful this turn? And so you'll discard that and then draw up to a full hand of 5. And then the next step is give charity. You can only have up to 3 treasure cards in your hand at one time. And so if you have an excess of that, say I had 5 from slaying monsters, and I haven't used them before my give charity comes around, then I have to pick 2 of these to give to the person with the lowest number of monster points in front of them. And if you are the one with the lowest, then you have to just discard them. And then the next step is play cards, negotiate, and get trophies. So this is where the battle takes place. And you could use all 5 of your cards to play against the monsters as long as you have targets that are useful for those cards. Negotiating is where you can negotiate with one other player for 1 card to help slay monsters. And the negotiation means that the other person has to get something out of it. So it may be like, I'll help you kill the White brothers, but I want the treasure if you get the body. He's worth 2 treasures, so I want those 2 treasure cards after you slay him. Okay. That's a way to negotiate within the game. You can also negotiate outside of the game. Like, you can keep the body and the treasure, but I want you to buy me dinner.
Anything.
I played with a couple of salespeople one time, and they said, okay, you can have the treasure and the body, but I want you to run my sales reports for a month.
Did they take it?
They take it. They took it, yes.
So how do you use cards to attack these monsters?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so you have your castle deck, and most of these are hit cards where they have a ring and a color. So this has Green Knight. So this is useful at making attacks in the Green Knight area of the board. So here is my Green Knight card. I could use that on the Drooling Slime. He's worth 1 point, and I can just slay him, keep him as a trophy, and then he's worth 1 treasure card. And so I set that aside. You don't add treasure until after you've finished all of your combat. So. And most of these cards are organized by the different areas of the board. There are also specials like Help Me Out here. I can compel one player to give me a card that's going to help me slay a monster.
And there are monsters with more health as well.
That's right.
So like the normal Castle Panic.
Exactly.
And you rotate it as they take.
Yeah, you rotate, exactly. Now, there is one difference with these tokens. You'll also see there are 4 and 5 point tokens. I'll hold this one up. You can see the very last number is a 2 on this 4-point monster. And that means that you can't just whittle him down. It has to be at least a 2-point attack at once to kill him. Yeah. So, and then there's the Plutonian Dragon. He's worth 5 points, and you have to have at least a 3-point hit to slay him at the end.
That will take some teamwork.
Exactly. So one of the things that we've added to Munchkin Panic that we don't have in Castle Panic are curses. So Castle Panic's a nice friendly game. You're not going to curse anyone. But with Munchkin Panic, we have Duck of Doom Curse. So I can compel someone to give me one of their treasure cards at random. I think my favorite curse that's in here is Chicken on Your Head.
There it is.
There it is. And so when you play this one, all the other players have to randomly select a treasure card from their hand and put it on their forehead like this. And so they don't know what's up there, and you get to look at all the treasure cards and decide which one you want to take and add to your hand. So yeah, some fun curses in there that are inspired by the curses from Munchkin. Yeah. So, and when you get the treasure cards, after you're able to add those to your hand, you can use these in combination with the castle cards to make higher point attacks. So for example, we have these weapons, and you can attach a weapon to one of the hit cards. Like I could add short wide armor, which damages a monster in the forest ring for in the night ring. I don't have my reading glasses on. In the night ring for 1 additional point. So if I had a red knight, and let's put this guy here, I could attach the short wide armor, and now I've got a 2-point attack on the White Brothers. So there are also potions and specials and things that you can play on the monsters. So, awesome. Yeah. So after you play cards, negotiate, get trophies, you add the treasure to your hand. So the treasure card that I got for slaying the drooling slime would go into my hand, and then I would be able to play it at that point forward. The next step is move monsters, and all the monsters move forward 1 space, just like they do for Castle Panic. And if they're inside in the castle, then they'll rotate clockwise and take out towers as they go. Okay. And they do take damage as well. So, for example, this gazebo next time, it would take 1 point of damage and destroy that wall. An interesting point about the gazebo, it says no help. You get no help slaying. So you can't negotiate for help to slay the gazebo. Mm-hmm. He must be fought alone.
You must fight him alone.
That's right.
The other thing is that those monsters Amber was mentioning with the higher point values, when they hit walls, if they're at their lowest points, they don't take any damage. Since they're at least 2 or more points, 1 is enough to hurt them, so they actually just walk through your castle unhurt.
Again, and that's bad.
Yeah, you need teamwork or some really good treasure cards to kill those guys. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So then the last step is place monsters. In Castle Panic, you draw 2, and if you draw the monster effect token, that counts as one of the 2. And with Munchkin Panic, you have to draw 3. Unless you're playing a 6-player game, you do draw 2.
Place, actually.
In place. I'm sorry, you have to place. So, so these are the 3 I drew in the order I drew them. So I have an undead horse, plutonian dragon, and flying frogs, and I would just roll the die to place those. It's 1, so it goes there. Mm-hmm. Plutonian dragon is on a 4.
In case you can't see on the camera, there's 6 sections of the circles. So 1, 2,
and they're
3.
numbered.
Yeah.
So so you know from your die roll which number to place them in. Yeah. So now if I had drawn, there are 8 curses in here. And so if I had drawn any of those curses, that would be in addition to the 3 monsters that I have to place in the forest.
And who does the curse affect? You drawing it? Or
usually it affects everyone. There is one that affects only the person drawing it, and that's that keeps you from getting any help on your next turn. Okay. So yeah, and so that's one person's turn, and then you rotate clockwise, and then the next person will go through that order of play in the same way. So, and that is the base game. Now, the cool thing about the Munchkin Panic game is it comes with an embedded expansion. It's this little expansion pack, and it gives you characters that you can play, and these are inspired by the races and classes from Munchkin. They give you a special ability and a special nemesis. And there are some of these tokens that have the monster tokens that have a black border. That indicates that it's a nemesis monster, and you'll want to take a look at your character card to see if that's a monster you need to pay special attention to for one reason or another. And a rule that comes along with the More Munchkin mini expansion is you no longer have to defend the castle towers. Now the towers are kind of like a timer on the game. So as soon as all the monsters are slain or all the towers are destroyed, whoever has the highest point value is the winner. So if you're in the lead, you might also want to play the monster enhancers, which will help the monsters in a fight against one of your fellow players. So that kind of takes the cooperation out of it, you know, completely.
It's trying to destroy the castle as fast as you can.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're in the lead.
Yeah, if you're in the lead.
You might want to cooperate if you're not in the lead.
That's right.
You know, keep those towers up. But
How do you win the base game?
you win the base game by having the highest number of points. So you're going to add up. You know, say these were the monsters that I ended with. I wouldn't have had a good game if I ended with just these. But I just add up the highest number on each of the tokens. So this is a 3, a 1, and a 4. So my final score is an 8. So we would compare scores. As long as you have one tower standing, you can have a winner.
And when does the game end? When do you add up the points?
So you add up the points after all of the monsters have been killed. So
from all the monsters.
Yeah, all the monsters
Okay.
in the bag have made it onto the board, and you've killed them or dealt with them in some way.
Okay.
So yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. And then the when you're playing with the More Munchkin mini expansion, the game ends when all the towers are gone or all the monsters have been slain. So
You still get to count your points. So
yeah, you still get to count your points. In
lots
that
of
case.
backstabbing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, yeah.
You bet.